This week's episode of Aussie Tech Heads is brought to you by Start New Company. Register your company immediately today with ASIC. ABN, TFN, GST registration is also available directly from the portal. Also set up your family trust and self-managed superannuation fund and more. All at startnewcompany.com.au. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/startnewco and keep an eye out for our regular specials. Start your new company now within 10 minutes of lodgement. All legal company documentation provided after registration. startnewcompany.com.au. And also brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au. All our servers are operating on SSD drives, immediate activation, SSL certificates, Aussie support, domain registration and more. Easy install WordPress, Joomla, Drupal and 300 other one-click installations. Generous space and bandwidth, auto backups, WordPress help and maintenance plans are also available on Contact. If your web page is important for your business or your life, contact us today. Aussie support, secure services, athwebhosting.com.au. And now for the show.
Welcome to episode 708 of the Aussie Tech Heads, recorded on the 14th of January 2021. I'm your host, Jason Oakley, and this is my co-host, Will Tompkinson. Hey, Will.
Hey, mate.
High five, man. It's been too long.
Hang on, this way. There we go. I appeared early, but my other camera didn't work, so I clicked the Z button and it stayed black. And I went, uh-oh.
I was early too, about an hour early.
Yeah, well, that's because you can't remember daylight saving.
If you would just be in the same time zone as the rest of us.
If only the east coast of Australia would have a common time zone.
Screw that for a joke, man.
No, right.
How's stuff?
Oh, you know, same old, really. It's been
Christmas break.
3 weeks or whatever it is we've been away, and that's exactly the same.
Any funky electronic presents?
Not really. No, we kept it with a bit of a minimum this year. Trying to save up to buy a business, so we kept the spending down.
You'll need to get a few dollars there.
Yeah, so
it should be at least, $10.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
no, we I got Bo a couple of like a Reddit controlled car thing, and this we call it the Hot Wheels death track because it's like it's an electric thing that fires these cars around. But dead set, they come out at about 100 mile an hour. You'd stand in front of it, the thing would kill you.
I saw a video today of somebody who had something like that, and the car goes around the track. Two cars, one goes around and breaks the track. The second one comes flying down and goes up and gets stuck in the roof. It's going that fast.
Yeah, it's like that.
Like, there's the car up there. It's
insane, this thing. So I got in that and had a few things, and over Christmas had to put on my, obviously all the solar panels and stuff got damaged from a hailstorm, so went and spent 3 days putting those back up on the roof and got all that organised. And
not the broken ones back on the roof?
No, not generally. No, replaced all the panels and fixed the solar, so we've got solar again now, so we stopped getting bills again. And
I still get bills. I can figure out what's going on. I need more panels, I think.
How big?
5.2.
Yeah, unless you're using the aircon all the time, you shouldn't be getting bills.
My daughter does all night.
Yeah, that'd be why.
The battery doesn't last that long in that case.
No, and so that's the problem. The next day, you're too busy recharging your battery and you're not putting enough power in.
Yeah.
You probably need another, 5.
I only get like 9 cents now anyway, so.
Yeah, you probably need like another 5 kilowatts. So.
Yeah, stick it on the west side since everything's on the east at the moment.
Yeah, I got 12 kilowatts.
Get another battery from that. What's that battery place called that's got good batteries?
I don't know.
Battery Central Ipswich.
Battery Central, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't do much in the grid tie stuff. It's too hard. But you got a Trina Best, didn't you? I think it was. Yeah, that with the trainer.
Battery, lithium,
Was it?
LG.
Oh, it's an LG. That's LG cam. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're not.
All right.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
They've come down a bit in the last little while too.
The panels are all Trina Honey.
Yeah, Trina's a good brand.
Yeah, Dad's got them on his place. He's had them for like 10 years or something. He's got no problems. Loves it.
Yeah, no,
he's not having big bills no more.
A lot of the secondhand stuff we get, it's all trainer stuff. It all seems to be fine. Have very little trouble with trainers.
Yeah.
And, no, we got 12 kilowatts. 4 on the east and 8 on the west.
Yep.
Due to a tree being in the corner of the yard, so I can't put any more on the east side because the tree blocks it.
That's not the tree that you bashed down your fence with.
No. But that's not too bad. At the moment, I'm on a particular provider giving me 19 cents.
19.
At the moment, yeah.
That must be nice.
Another 6 months and that finishes, but at the moment I'm on 19, so it's not too bad.
My problem. I was getting like 20, and then they're like, "Okay, your 1 year bonus time is up. Now we're gonna drop that to less than half." You're like, "Okay, well I'll go somewhere else." You go somewhere else, and they're like, "Hey, why did you go somewhere else?" They're like, "Because you stopped giving me the good rate." We could give you another one. We should offer that before I get the chance to leave, shouldn't we?
Yep. So.
We were hoping that you would just take the crappy one anyway, not bother moving.
Pretty much.
Same as banks are like that, right? They just hope that you never leave, so they give you the crappy rates, and all the new customers get the great rates, and then you go, and then this happened with my bank, and they're like, "Why'd you leave?" "Because you gave me a crappy rate. You wouldn't change it." "Yeah, we should probably give you a better one, shouldn't we?" Well, yeah.
It's funny you had that, because I'm with the same bank and we had the exact opposite. They were ringing us to tell us that they can offer us better deals.
Yeah, I rang them up.
So weird.
I sent a bank mail from their internal system.
Yep.
And they're like, "Well, we can give you this other slightly crappier one." I'm like, "I don't want slightly crappier. I want better."
Yeah, so I actually rang them up and talked to them.
Yeah. I got myself a MacBook Air 13-inch M1 processor.
I can't help you with all your problems.
You're like Simon from the Commodore 64 stream. I was like, I don't use the little netbook anymore that keeps rebuffering the Twitch stream while I'm trying to watch you. Now I've got a nice high-speed M1 MacBook Air, and he's like, "I'm sorry to hear that."
Yeah.
He said, "I've got a MacBook Pro sitting next to me. I'd use it for a coffee holder. It keeps the coffee cup nice and warm because it runs nice and warm."
Yep.
I was like, "Well, at least I can watch the thing." And when I go on holidays, I've got a nice fast little.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They're good for that. Like, they're for the size and the price. There's not much that will keep up in that bracket.
Yeah.
You know.
There's a couple of grand, and I got half terabyte hard drive in there. So.
But they're such a compact unit. You know, they got good battery life. They're a throwaway item because nothing in them is repairable thanks to Apple's non-repair policy. But you know, they're good for a couple of years.
Usually getting in a bit of trouble for that too, aren't they?
They do, and then they don't, and then do again, and they don't again. You watch.
You see all these news things. Oh no, Apple's in trouble now for their no repair. Next year, Apple's in trouble again. They didn't change their no repair policy. They're like, "Well, we don't really care who's going to do anything about it."
You watch Lewis Rossman on YouTube. He keeps up with that. He's an Apple repairer.
Yeah.
He keeps up a lot with that sort of stuff, and he actually just got back from Sweden or Denmark or something like that. There's a guy over there who was repairing dead Apple products, iPhones and MacBooks and stuff, and giving them out to, or basically effectively giving them to, like, you know, people who needed them, or poor people, or community clubs and stuff like that. And Apple sued him because he breached their no repair policy and he wasn't a certified agent. And so
doing good.
Well, Lewis knows their own rules and better than they do. He's taken on their lawyers several times and won every time. And he went over there and defended him. Yep. And his defense was great. He stood up to him, said this, and this, and this, and you allow this, and you don't allow this, and this happened, and he did this, and The lawyer's like,
sounds good to me.
What's going on? I don't understand. What? And he just said to the judge, look, at the end of the day, here's a kid helping out the community.
Yeah.
You know, before that, you know, he's a very talented kid, and before he would put his talents to good use, he was using them for nefarious purposes. So it's up to you. You can penalise him for doing the right thing, and he can go back to doing the wrong thing where he never got caught, or you can tell Apple to go away and mind their own business, and he can continue to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And the judge booted Apple out of court and said, don't come back.
Kind of like that sugar water company that sued the Australian governments or councils for putting in bottle recycling centres.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is that even a thing that you want to try and stop people recycling bottles? What?
Because they have to pay for it. The
sugar company pays for the recycling.
So yeah, the manufacturing company does, because
put the price of the drinks up anyway.
No, they're not allowed. They weren't allowed to. See, here's the thing, because they're paying the 10 cents back. So you pay 10 cents per bottle that you get refunded, right? So the company that handles the transactions charges the company, you know, whether it's the bottling company, whoever's producing the bottles, whoever's filling the bottles, charges them 11 cents because they make 1 cent on every transaction. So, you know, the company's complaining that it's costing them extra 11 cents, you know, for a bottle.
Taken away from their $4 bottle of sugar water that should cost you 20 cents in the first place.
Well, this is what people don't understand. They're not in the business of selling you soft drink. They're in the business... they're not in the business of selling you water or selling you soft drink or selling you juice. They're in the business of selling your bottle. Because that's what they sell.
The bottle costs $4,
yeah.
Though, and they're upset because they lose 11 cents out of every $4 overprice.
That's right, and that's what they're complaining about. It's like, seriously?
Sort of like that thing where I was reading and this guy went in to give a talk at a university, and they're like, so what is McDonald's main source of income, their main business? Everyone's like, oh, they make fast food, burgers and stuff. No, they buy real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Prime
the
real estate.
franchisees lease the spot from them, and they send them some food to sell, but they're primarily looking for the best spots of real estate all over the world that they buy, and that's their business. It's just real estate.
The key prime real estate.
Yeah. The food stuff on the side is just a way to get the real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with what you were saying, the sugar water is just a way to sell the bottles.
Yep. But it's funny too, like you got oh man, I hate that. I got halfway through a thought and my brain just went, no, you don't need the rest of that process.
Reboot.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I completely forgot what I was going to say. Oh, that's right. Like the bigger chains like Costco, well, not so much Costco, but the bigger ones that are in supermarkets like Myers and Kmart and Woolworths and those sort of ones, they predominantly don't pay rent. They basically have a deal with the contractor to say, once you open your supermarket, we'll move in, and we'll bring
all the other shops.
We'll move in. We'll take what we want. We'll set our store up, and we'll bring 1 million customers to your shopping center every year. Yeah. So they don't pay rent.
The other shops will go, oh, Kmart's there, so we better move in too.
That's what happens. The rent cost gets split up with all the small stores. Yeah. Because the big stores don't pay the rent because they're the draw card. Yeah. And you can't charge the draw card money.
No.
And it's like...
Works out well for them.
Works out well for them, but what it means is suddenly if everyone's paying the same price per square metre, which is how it's worked out in commercial premises, a small shop owner could be paying $1,000 a week rent. If Woolworths was paying rent, they'd be paying $50,000 a week rent. But the thing is, they wouldn't be because the average meterage per business would be less. Yep. So the small shop owner would only be paying $200 a week rent, and Woolworths would only be paying $10,000 a week rent. So it's all relative, the small shop owners have to foot the bill and pay more than they should because the big conglomerates won't.
Yeah.
So.
And that's Bill of rent of the week. I don't usually call you Bill.
Do you?
Some do.
Yeah, I get called worse.
Billy! Billy, don't you lose my number, 'cause you're not anywhere. Should we do some news?
I suppose so.
Suppose so. NBN Co. said it's reduced the number of users per fixed wireless cell from historical levels of around 60 down to 19 on average. The company said that reducing the average number of users per cell was one initiative it had undertaken to achieve increased data rates for users. It was also optimizing end user radio conditions and actively balancing user profiles as some of the same package of works. Following a 20% increase in the number of active cells in the last 12 months, there are currently 19 users per cell on average, a reduction from historical levels of around 60. Congestion on the fixed wireless network has been a multi-year challenge for NBN Co. and has cost the company at least $800 million to fix. In 2017, NBN Co. had approximately 5,000 cells activated with 60 users per cell in different locations as a maximum allowable number. That would appear to suggest that while the number of users in some cells peaked at 60, the distribution of users among active cells was not uniform. Now they say with 342,000 customers on the fixed wireless network, there are now approximately 19,000 cells, which gives an average 18 or 19. Recently added cells have been targeted areas that experience particularly slow uplink speeds. Outside of increasing number of cells, NBN Co is also deploying carrier aggregation to improve load balancing across available spectrum and enhance single user data rates, and exploring the use of newer antenna technology and high capacity backhaul. It has also proposed the introduction of bandwidth limits on individual users in busy times, enforcing a fair use policy. The updates on congestion activities come as NBN Co announced the results of tests of millimeter wave 5G technology, which may be deployed in future upgrades of the fixed wireless network. NBN Co claimed to have achieved a world record for long-range 5G transmission using millimeter wave. Live testing at NBN proof of concept site near Mortlake, Victoria, NBN Co and its technology partners Ericsson, Qualcomm Technologies and Casa Systems achieved a stable 5G millimeter wave transmission of close to 1 gigabits per second at a distance of 7.3 kilometers, double the distance recorded at the site just 3 months ago and a new record globally. NBN Co anticipates ongoing testing to demonstrate even longer capability in the future. NBN Co added that more than 90% of its fixed wireless customers live within 7.3 kilometers of an existing cell.
I wonder when people will realise we're actually going backwards. Because how much power did they need to pump into that to push it that far? Back in the old days of the old analog phones, you could put a 100-watt tower up and it'd go 30, 40, 50 Ks.
Yeah.
You know?
Now you can go 7.
Well, 3.5 really. 7 if you extend the technology beyond what it's designed for.
Yeah, push it.
So, but the only thing I've got to say about, have you seen the new Lamb ad for 2021?
No.
I won't.
Sure there was one.
Yeah, I won't show it all, but I'll show that it's basically Australia 2031, right?
Yeah.
And my favourite thing about the whole ad is when you get to the shopping centre. It's
post itself best Sydney city again. Further delays to NBN rollout. That's very subtle.
I just love. I thought that was hilarious when I saw that.
And Sydney would vote itself best city again.
Oh yeah, well no one else will.
Melbourne would argue with that.
Brisbane would have a go at it. It's actually a really good ad. You'll have to watch it. Have you seen the you know the step one, the undies ads?
I don't watch TV.
Well, you see them on YouTube too.
Try not to watch YouTube ads.
Yeah, well, this is
they
true.
force them down your throat now. 2 unskippable ads per watch.
Yeah, and those ones aren't revenue for the creator. They're pure YouTube.
Have you seen the stupid Wish one with a girl doing backflips? It's like, what's the point?
So this is the step one. Let me do that one. So this is the step one ad, which some people have probably seen.
I like tree trunks, and when tree trunks walk together, they chafe. But step one has got you covered.
So but this guy here, he's in the new Lamb ad.
Okay.
So, yeah.
He sounds like he's from over the ditch.
He is. My legs are like tree trunks, and when tree trunks rub together, they chafe.
Choice.
So,
Choice Pro.
yeah, that's it. So, let's see what we've got here. A couple of quick ones. So, Zoom, as most of us know by now, is a program that people use for doing things. Because you can tell because of the way it is. Yep. But basically it's, video conferencing, whatever. But
I'm actually surprised that with the huge uptake in video conferencing, particularly Zoom, it's still stable AF, right?
It's more stable than anything else. It really is. Their compression and decompression software is just on point.
And they must have upscaled like crazy over the last 6 months.
And no, that it's such a lightweight program. Like it'll run on my netbook and it'll run on my little old ancient laptop thing down in the shed that's got, a VGA webcam and, still running Windows XP. And it'll run on that just as well as it runs on this computer, But yeah, so basically they've obviously, had to very quickly expand. But their shares skyrocketed from $74 to $337. And on Tuesday, the company has declared its intention to publicly offer $1.5 billion of shares to common A stock. And you got to remember, it's only launched 2 years ago. It's gone nuts. And also, there's an enterprise side of it which I was unaware of called Zoom Phone.
That outbreak to normal telephone service.
Well, it runs on a mobile app as well. Plus, they've got a desktop app. They've got, call transfer, call forwarding, voicemail, call recording, conference calling, call hold, barge, listen, monitor, whisper, takeover, all the stuff you'd expect on a PBX system. And it's all done through Zoom. Yep. And then there's you can add it to your existing carrier. You can port your existing number. You can use your existing phone hardware if it's IP stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can do. I was completely unaware that was a service. I only just discovered it today, but it looks really good, and I'm actually contemplating going that way for work.
Business, yeah.
Because it's $150 a year.
That'd be worth it.
For up to 100. That's up to 100. They got a free plan, but you can't do a lot on the free one. But I think it's $150 a year, and you can do is it? Hang on. And then you add other stuff, or $120 a year actually. And then you can add other things, so you can add a 1-800 number. You can have all this other stuff. So you can have a toll-free number. You can have all this other stuff added on it as well. Plus, it integrates with the standard Zoom part of it as well, so I thought that's pretty cool. It's just something to make people aware of. I was unaware that was a thing.
Yep.
So,
should we mention some of these people and stuff below us here?
Do we have to? So, it's on that note too, we had what's the other thing? Stop. Why does the thing stop thinging? Re-thing, dang it.
The thing. Thing-a-thong?
Thing-a-thong a sixpence.
Oh.
We had obviously the winners I contacted before Christmas.
Yep.
For the gift cards. And they have got back to me, and all things have been sorted there.
Big governor.
So it took one person, and literally yesterday they got back to me, and I'm like, I'm just going to use this card myself. How long should I wait?
Yeah.
They got back to me yesterday, so
your time nearly ran out.
you're this close. But
missed it by that much.
So, but yeah, we should mention obviously Kate, and they'll be down the bottom when it comes through.
This thing.
The what?
Address.
ko-fi.com/AussieTechHeads. Shut up. It's a
I
stupid.
didn't do it.
It's
on
a stupid
purpose.
address, all right. I don't know why they're stuttering like that either. They don't normally.
No.
But
Why?
yeah, I don't know why they're scrolling so slowly. But anyway,
Need time to read it.
yeah, I meant that. I did it on purpose. Let me just see if I don't know. But yeah, then we got facebook.com/AussieTechHeads, obviously, twitch.com/AussieTechHeads, all the things, Patreon, which is PATREON, not PATERON, because that takes you to an entirely different website. They still want money from you, but I don't think you get anything in return.
Sounds like a cyber squatter.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, patreon.com/AussieTechHeads. And of course, you can, if you wish to do via PayPal, you just contact us and we can do it that way as well. We do have a few people doing that. Our publicly announceable supporters. We have Kate, we have Bouncing Yellow Skull, we have Daniel and Amanda, we have David Bird, and we have Chris.
Thanks for that. We really appreciate it, everyone.
It does. It gives us an incentive to do shows, and
We put solar panels on Will's roof.
no, I paid for those.
It's still not.
Don't you
We still need a few more donations to help Glenn upgrade from his TRS-80 computer.
And yeah, I know, right? Maybe by next Christmas we might get him one.
Wasn't he going to do a special message that we could insert in the show for everybody?
Yes.
Wasn't he going to re-record the audio at the start of the show?
Yes.
And he was going to appear on the Christmas special.
Yes.
Very well done, Glenn.
So you're on the
Hope
ball
you're
there, but
listening.
so you're on the ball. And of course we got Andrew G as well on PayPal, like you're forgetting about. Sorry,
Yep.
buddy. I don't deliberately forget. I just forget because I forget
Andrew
most
G,
things.
word.
In
Is
all
he
honesty,
related to Ali G?
Ali G.
Warren G. Regulator.
Yeah, I was going to say Warren G. Yeah.
I
So-
play that on my show every now and then. Regulators.
I haven't heard that for ages, actually.
See that you don't listen to my show, obviously. Oh, what a bird.
I am normally, I do have it on. I just usually don't, you know what my house is like. It's a madhouse
Yeah.
here. I have it on. I listen to like, the only times, it's funny, when I listen to your show, I'm like, I listen to you say what songs and stuff are on them. Oh, cool. I want to, and then something happens and I don't get to listen to the songs. And by the time I get back, it's you again or an ad. And I'm like, "Ugh." I seem to only listen to the ads.
Yeah.
I don't listen to the show.
Oh, how's your 3D printing stuff going, by the way?
Well, you see,
Printers now.
this is now
The
the
CNC.
the CNC is fine, and my K40 laser's fine. My Delta is still waiting for me to machine a part to make it a 3mm printer, and the Ender 3 is now on its third main board.
What?
I figured out what the problem was, but unfortunately it took me 3 main boards to figure it out. The fan,
So they sold me a dodgy in the first place.
yeah,
right?
I think so. I think yours was just bad from the
No
get-go.
wonder I was having so much trouble, and I'm like, I don't get what people like about these things. They're frustrating, and I hate it.
Well, I've replaced the power supply, I've replaced 2 stepper motors, and I'm now on the 3rd motherboard. But what it actually was with the motherboard, and I only just discovered it, you know how under the hotbed there's the top plate with the fan and the motherboard was under that? Well, that fan would come on when you started printing. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, the fan's working. But the other day I did a big print and I got 3/4 way through the print and the print failed. I'm like, why? And the bed went forward just as I was looking at it and the fan wasn't spinning.
Oh,
So what was happening was the capacitor that would run the fan driver, once the board got hot, would shut the fan off, which of course just made all the drivers overheat and bake
Is that
themselves
what
in an
you
oven. So basically this thing was just cooking itself to death because the fan would stop working.
Yeah.
So I eventually figured it out, but it's cost me 3 motherboards to do it.
it's kind of like, I've had this axe for like 20 years. It's only had 4 handles and 3
Yeah.
axe heads. It's still the same Max,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Still the same Ender 3.
The frame and the printing platform is the same, and the X and Y stepper is the same. I've just had to replace the extruder stepper twice, which I think was related to the motherboard. I think
it's surprising I managed to print anything on the damn thing.
Well, I would say when you first got it, it was probably mostly behaving.
Yeah.
And it just deteriorated over time.
Dying, yeah. I didn't use it that much.
The first time the stepper motor on the board, the original board when you sent it to me, the stepper motor driver was turned down, so I didn't have enough pressure to feed the stepper motor hard enough for the extruder.
Yep.
So it would jam the extruder all the time. And then on a giant print I did, and I went away, went to work and come back, and it burnt the stepper motor out because it was trying to extrude, but it couldn't. So it overheated the stepper motor and burnt that out. And it took out that board at the same time. So I put the second board in, I readjusted all the levels, and it seemed to fix that problem. But then that board just died for no apparent reason, but I attribute that now knowing that that fan failed. So, anyway.
Let the smoke out.
Yeah, let out that magic smoke. Well, it didn't. It's never done that. It just stops printing. Yeah, but it just bakes itself pretty much.
Dude,
but
I always feel better if I'm baked.
So I'm gonna redesign a couple of things on it while I got it in pieces, and I'm gonna move that board from under the bed somewhere up beside it so you can keep an eye on it. And I'm gonna put a
fan on the side.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is the lid that sits over the top. The screw holes are exactly the right size for your normal like PC power supply fan.
Oh, okay, that should be better.
Yeah, so I'm just going to put one of those on it. Move a lot more air. So yeah, but all my projects are. Oh man, I'll tell you what, I've bought my media center, which was one of these Android H96 things. It works really well. For most things, but it doesn't like streaming sites. Like YouTube's okay, or if it's got an app, it's okay, but it doesn't like streaming a site through a web browser. It's just
is it codecs or something?
It's an octa-core. Like it's got 32 gig it's 4 gig of RAM and 32 ROM. Like it's a pretty powerful, pretty powerful little unit, but it just doesn't like anything playing through a website. So anyway, we recently I got some Intel NUCs, some cheap ones.
Yep.
They're quad core 2 gig or 2.3 gig processor, 4 gig RAM. They got the little micro ESSDs, whatever they are, the things from back in the day, and running Windows 7 on those things. And I was putting Linux on them, but there's this really weird thing in Linux where it fills the mouse buffer up. You move the mouse a couple of times and it's nice and smooth, and it just gets jerkier and jerkier and jerkier the more you move it. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, you don't want to go jerking the mouse.
No. So I put Windows 7 on them, and they're fine. I got one running as a media center. I got one controlling my K40 laser. I got one controlling my CNC.
You've upgraded from the Pis.
Well, the Pi still controls I'm not using the Pi anymore either. I'm using my I got a complete blank what it is. My mini processor for controlling I got 2 Octaprints running simultaneously on that. So that's controlling those. My Pis are, being retired to sitting in front of me and looking pretty on my desk at the moment. There's one. So.
Yeah, I saw there was a project over Christmas announced where you can put a, I think it was Raspberry Pi Zero. You connect it to the Denise chip in the Amiga 500, and it can run video processing software, and it'll output HDMI from your Amiga to an HDMI TV or monitor.
But just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Well, you should, because I've got the A520 and the quality you get from that is really terrible. The only other options are get a video upscaler, which costs like $200 or $300.
I guess if you want to run it on that, but it doesn't look right.
I can't get a 1084S for like less than $600 either. Otherwise, I'd look at something like that. So
No.
if I can get it on my current TV, LCD TV, and HDMI sharp, crisp output, that'd be nice.
I mean, I understand it, but like, yeah, well, that's the thing though. I guess if it upscales it correctly and it makes the image clearer.
Yeah, it does.
You know, that's not too bad.
And it's only like a Pi Zero, which costs nothing. So
yeah, $22 or something.
Nice.
You wouldn't even need the wireless. Or you use the wireless one probably to make it easier.
Yeah, you just get a adapter that goes. You take out the Denise graphics chip, put the adapter in there, and then plug the Denise into that. So it's still going through the Denise video chip, but it captures it through the Raspberry Pi and then converts to HDMI.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it works.
An online marketplace called Dark Market, dun dun dun, sold illegal drugs has been taken down in an operation led by German law enforcement agencies. European police agency Europol said the market had almost 500,000 users with 2,400 sellers. Transactions conducted on it in cryptocurrency were worth more than 140 million euros or 220 million Australian dollars. The vendors on the marketplace mainly traded all kinds of drugs and sold counterfeit money, stolen or counterfeit credit card details, anonymous SIM cards, and malware. Agencies from Australia, Denmark, Moldova, Ukraine, United Kingdom, and the United States also took part in the operation, which Europol helped coordinate. Darknet markets are e-commerce sites designed to lie beyond the reach of regular search engines. They're popular with criminals as buyers and sellers are largely untraceable. Payments on the dark market were made in Bitcoin and Monero. The investigation was led by German prosecutors, and an Australian citizen who is alleged to be the operator of dark market was arrested near the German-Danish border last weekend. More than 20 servers were seized in Moldova and the Ukraine.
They weren't doing a real good job if they're that easy to find.
No.
It's hardly Silk Road, is it?
Yeah, hardly.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't want to think about stuff like that. Like, I get what they'll, you know, if you go into that much trouble to have an operation like that, you could at least, you know,
it's better security,
do something
guys.
properly.
If you're doing 220 million a year in trade, surely you could afford some better security and anonymity.
Yeah, exactly. It's I mean, was it on the dark web though? It was.
It was a dark web one, yeah.
Yeah. So they're obviously, I mean, inherently most of that stuff's relatively hard to find. It's probably a long operation. In all honesty, it's probably pretty impressive because it would have been a long operation over a long period of time to find that.
Yeah, must have got some guys inside with accounts and stuff to see what's going on and then somehow trace them.
Slightly concerned that they weren't using peer-to-peer resources rather than centralized location.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. I don't know what that was about, but...
Next time, Gadget.
Yeah. And you want to hear this mic from now on. Yeah, well, it's very hard. It's not a very good gaming setup because the mic's right in front of me and the keyboard's about 3 foot that way, so it's very, very difficult to do this for gaming. So Parler came and went. It's very, very disappeared very quickly. But it disappeared. Parler is currently filing a lawsuit in the US District Court alleging that the suspension from the AWS services violated antitrust law and breached contractual agreement. AWS cut off Parler services on Sunday, citing the proliferation of hate speech and the site's role in organising last week's riot at the US Capitol. But here's the thing, like, Parler is basically saying that the removal from AWS was politically motivated and designed to reduce competition in the microblogging service market to the benefit of Twitter. Parler's asking the court to issue a temporary restraining order that would force AWS to reinstate Parler's account and refrain from suspending, terminating, or failing to provide any service. I know Google and Apple took the apps off a few days before that happened.
Apple gave them a few chances and said all you have to do is allow moderation, and they said no.
Yeah.
Well, we told you that was it, and if you don't do it, then you can't be here. So,
Which they didn't need the app. It works perfectly fine without it by design.
so you just go to the website or something.
Yeah, that's exactly, and that's really what I want people to do. It's the whole point of it is it's a non-moderated forum. Like that's the point of it. There is no censorship. There is no moderation. You know, so. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. In some regards, I'm kind of surprised they were using Adobe servers, honestly. Yep. I would have thought that they would have been somewhat more geolocated in a better spot than that.
Yeah. Or at least run your own servers. I mean, they must have had millions cash injection from a lot of places.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't... especially given the way the US was behaving, I wouldn't be putting anything on their servers.
It's like we were just talking about the dark web, dude. You're just not trying hard enough. If we can think of ways that you could have got around things, then surely you could have, or somebody.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not even.
That hard.
It's literally like, oh look, here's a template. Let me just click on that. Oh, I've built my website. Oh, my site's been taken down. Like.
Host it. Here's a clue. Host it in not America.
Yeah.
Not America. Somewhere else.
Like Sweden is really good because they're internet neutral. They don't have censorship laws and stuff. Like, for example, I was talking before about using a VPN. If you set your VPN to Europe and specifically like Switzerland and Sweden, you get access to everything because they don't have lockdown. Like they don't have restrictions on their internet. So you can access all the sites.
VPN to China.
Don't set it to China. Don't set it to like Vietnam. Don't set it to don't set it to America. UK, Australia.
Any of what do they call themselves? The Big Five something.
The Big Five. Isn't that like
countries that all have a law between them for internet stuff?
Well, that's the UN basically. Anybody involved in that. Don't go there.
Don't go there, girlfriend.
So it's like Brexit all over again.
Weeks ago, Adobe dropped support for Flash Player. A surprise! And
they've only been warning you for 7 years, so don't take it like it's
shock. Adobe dropped support for Flash Player and continued to strongly recommend that all users immediately uninstall the browser plugin for security reasons. And starting today, Adobe has gone one step further and blocked Flash content entirely. So if you're on the bandwagon of making your website 100% Flash,
because everybody does that these days.
Which any sane web designer told you not to do.
Any good geocities really website. Cool.
Your website doesn't exist anymore. When a user attempts to load a Flash game or content in the browser, such as Chrome, the content now fails to load and instead displays a small banner that leads to the Flash end-of-life page on Adobe's website. While this day has long been coming, with many browsers disabling Flash by default years ago, it's officially the end of a 25-year era for Flash. First introduced by Macromedia in 1996 and acquired by Adobe in 2005. Since Adobe will no longer be supporting Flash Player after December 31, 2020, and Adobe will block Flash content from running in Flash Player beginning January 12, 2021, Adobe strongly recommends all users immediately uninstall Flash Player to help protect their systems. It's funny how they put it that way as a security thing, because that's exactly the problem.
Yeah. But it's funny, like, okay, there is a downside to this. I used to play a lot of Flash games through browsers.
Yep.
You know, there's Kitty Cannon and there's a whole heap they used to play all the time, so they're not going to work.
And our Dino Black Sheep had all real cool animations to watch.
Yeah, so there was some upsides to Flash.
Yep.
It
had its time. When you couldn't, do much animation with GIFs and stuff back in the day, Flash did all that really cool stuff.
Yeah, well, that's it.
You can even play Mario.
You can. I don't know what you're talking about. Who could play Mario.
HTML5 now, so it's taken over from Flash.
It has. It's
And that's almost 100% exactly the same as the original Nintendo one.
It's except the scaling because it's in widescreen.
Yep.
It throws the scaling off.
Ah.
Because I went back to because I've got the Nintendo Classic thingy.
Yep.
And yeah, I can play that a lot easier than I can play this because the scaling on the screen's wrong.
Ah, right.
But it's still fun. It's actually it's a
yeah.
very good port. It's actually really well done. That's the wrong button. But yeah, it's just not quite the same.
Go get him. Start chucking your balls at him.
That's it. I see I can single jump all this stuff normally. There's a second... I always forget the second tunnel. I go down the first one all the time, but there's a second one you can take too.
Hey! Dun, 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 dun.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah.
Adobe first announced its plans to discontinue Flash in 2017. Open standards such as HTML5, WebGL, and WebAssembly have continually matured over the years and serve as viable alternative for Flash content. Adobe does not intend to issue Flash Player updates or security patches any longer, so it's recommended that users uninstall the plugin. Over the years, Flash had an infamous reputation due to numerous security vulnerabilities that exposed Mac and PC users to malware and other risks, forcing vendors like Microsoft and Apple to work tirelessly to keep up with security fixes. Now we can all use, what was it that Microsoft brought out?
Silverlight.
What was it? Silverlight. Yeah, that's everyone uses that all the time, right?
Oh, that was huge for about 12 minutes.
If that, I mean,
well, if you used if you had the Office suite and you had what was their web editor
front page.
If you use front page, by default it would use the Silverlight extensions and everything. It was horrible. It really was. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think Silverlight's been banned from browsers. I think it's still perfectly acceptable programming. It just doesn't actually get used for anything. So there's that. So, speaking of Microsoft.
Oh, I see. Wait.
Have you finished with your story? Too bad.
So, yes, sir.
When a rival does something heinous, ignorant, or just inevitably cynical, because, let's face it, most rivals do, it's tempting to try to take advantage of it. When Facebook announced last week that WhatsApp users either had to agree that the app would share more of their data with Facebook by February or be excommunicated from WhatsApp, this is a really well-written article, Microsoft couldn't help itself. Suddenly, there was Redmond protesting that services are more privacy-conscious. Well, one of its services. Well, Skype. In a serendipitous tweet on the Skype account, users were told, Skype respects your privacy. We are committed to keeping your personal private data private and do not sell to third parties. This came with a link to Microsoft's privacy statement. Sample wording, we also obtain data about you from third parties. Perhaps some might have seen this as a noble and commercial message. Anybody who suggests that Facebook is to privacy what Kanye West is to reticence surely has the respect of many. Yet Twitter is also responded to Skype's sudden bravado weren't inspired. There are criticisms of Skype's slowness on mobile, its tendency to demand your private phone number, and even its past troubles with privacy. It's worth, of course, considering where Skype exists at all. Hasn't Teams become what Skype was supposed to be but never quite made it? With the sudden onset of working from home, everybody was Zooming when they could have been, at least theoretically, Skyping. Indeed, my ZDNet colleagues recently offered a detailed exposition of why Skype is an unhappy relic of a freedom-loving time. The bugginess, the spam, the constant updates, none of this earns Skype affection. Conversely, WhatsApp whole ethos was based around ease of encryption. How sad indeed that Microsoft thinks Skype, of all of its products, could somehow replace the WhatsApp versus Skype in a Steve Curry versus Jake Paul, and it doesn't even seem like it's the same sport. Why Elon Musk insists your best choice is Signal. In any case, Facebook has been siphoning off data from WhatsApp for quite some time. The latest announcement just made the process more grotesquely grabby. Why would Microsoft suddenly think that anybody would suddenly think Skype is a fine option? Perhaps it's better to do something than nothing. Could it be, though, that Microsoft is also trying to align itself with Apple's hardline stance against Facebook, but more in muted tones? At least you might still insist Skype doesn't sell your data to third parties. This may be because, unlike Facebook, it's businesses and advertising. It's still worried that Skype is simply part of it. It's instructive indeed how Microsoft's Skype these days. Skype's Twitter profile offers this description. The next generation of Skype from Microsoft gives you better ways to chat, call, and plan fun things to do with the people in your life every day.
Skype was, before Microsoft got it, was so far ahead in audio and video conferencing. Nobody else was anywhere near it. And then Microsoft bought it, dropped the ball, as they often tend to do, and now everyone's gone elsewhere.
Pretty much.
The only reason I have Skype on my computer is because it's built into the operating system now, and I can't uninstall it. And then magically, in the last couple of months, it's like, I'm just going to always launch Skype on your computer no matter what, even if you don't want to use it.
I only have it because my boss insists it's the best way to send you a file.
Hang on. What?
Like, seriously,
you should get a new boss.
I'm working on it. We have emails. We have the program I can never... Yammer, which is basically like a private in-house version of Facebook. It's for like inter-business stuff.
Yep.
So we have emails, we have Yammer, we have Facebook, we have the server, we have a paid Dropbox, a paid OneDrive, and a paid Google account. And he thinks the best way to... and he uses... what's that? Not MeWe. What's that bloody... WeChat.
Yep.
He makes us get WeChat. And yet he insists the best way to send me a file is over Skype. Which I never log into until 2 days later when he goes, hey, did you get that file I sent you?
No.
Yes.
Did you send it a sane way, or did you send it a silly way? I can't believe. Yes. Okay. Right.
Like, seriously, there's 12 ways to send it to me, and you send it in the one I don't look at.
Because he knows you're not going to look at it.
I want your opinion on something. I don't want you to look at it, but I want your opinion on something.
Legally, I've sent it to you.
It's your problem now.
Your problem.
Yes.
Netflix will release 70 original movies in 2021, touting the streaming service's most ambitious slate yet as the theatrical movie business remains stuck in limbo. Netflix's lineup of movies include one of its most expensive to date, Red Notice, an action movie starring Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot, as well as sequels to its hit romantic comedies, The Kissing Booth and To All the Boys I've Loved Before. The streaming service has also commissioned more than a dozen dramas, including the directorial debut of Halle Berry and a feature starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence. Once a naughty word among filmmakers loyal to the movie theaters, Netflix is now one of the few reliable studios in town. Netflix is also increasing its output as theaters remain closed in much of the world. The pandemic has made it hard for rival studios to release their projects, and many of them have delayed most of their top titles until more theaters are open. Netflix took advantage in 2020, releasing new movies from directors Spike Lee, George Clooney, and Gina Prince Bythewood to entertain people stuck at home. It also acquired several movies from studios that were unable to use the theaters. The streaming service has scaled up its operations over the past few years under the film chief Scott Stuber, adding more action movies, Extraction, The Old Guard, and Spencer Confidential to its crop of Oscar-winning dramas, documentaries, and romantic comedies. Netflix will release movies in almost every genre in 2021, including action, horror, comedy, thriller, drama, western, and animation. With this big of a global audience, there's a great appetite for films, Stuber said in an interview. I'm excited about the diversity of what the teams are doing. Stuber's team is overseeing a slate of 52 live-action movies in English and a further 10 in foreign languages. Netflix will also release 8 animated movies in 2021. The 70-day film tally doesn't include the documentaries. Wow, it's a lot of stuff coming.
I mean, they're only 10 years behind in their thought process, but okay.
Yeah.
But there are still a lot of stuff coming to cinemas.
Yep.
Little things, Cinderella, Judas and the Black Messiah, Nobody, The Father, there's a Tom and Jerry, there's a Raya and the Last Dragon, Peter Rabbit 2.
There's supposed to be a lot of
Mortal
old
Kombat.
70s, 80s, and 90s stuff free on YouTube now too, I hear.
They rotate through it, yeah. I was watching Any Which Way But Loose.
Yep.
The other day.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that for ages. The
Same.
neat part about it being on YouTube is because it's on YouTube, you can just skip through like a normal YouTube video. So, or you can play it at 2 times speed.
Yeah.
So a lot of the movie I was playing it 2 times, and then when it gets to the good bits, like the part where he's tearing the car apart and stuff, I slow back to normal and watch it, then go back to 2 times. It's actually a really good way to watch videos.
We only got an hour to go before we're going out. Oh, good enough time to watch a movie in double speed.
Yeah, exactly. And now they've finally got pitch shift correct on there, so it doesn't screw up the
pitches. You can watch Lord of the Rings in like 4 hours.
Yeah, you can watch Titanic in like half a night.
Yeah.
There's something funky with that movie, eh? It's only, I mean, it is a long movie, but it's only like, it's not super long.
Yeah.
I'll double check. But it
Someone
feels
was saying
like
it's basically a very long movie about how this old lady hooked up with this young guy one night many years ago.
But more or less. I mean, okay, it is a 3.5 hour movie. So it's not okay, it's longer than I thought it was. Okay. It does, no wonder it feels like a long movie then. It actually is a 3.5 hour movie.
Yep.
Apparently there's a Titanic 2. I just discovered.
Turn of the iceberg.
But
It's personal.
Avatar's almost 3 hours, and that did not feel like a 3 hour movie.
There's supposed to be another 4 of those coming out, isn't there?
It's supposed to be. Titanic, honouring the 100th anniversary of its namesake, a modern luxury liner called Titanic 2 set sail along the same path when a looming iceberg spells doom. The crew struggles to avoid a similar fate.
What doesn't happen anymore because we melted all the icebergs, so there's no problem.
Yeah, well, that's it. Greta made sure of it.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Firefox, which you were before about the whole Java thing, not Java, the other one, Flash. Not that Java's much better, mind you. Firefox is to block the backspace key from working as a back button.
Because what?
Citing accidental data loss.
I suppose if you're busy typing in a whole page of stuff and you hit delete and suddenly it's gone to the page before, you're like, I thought it was like Alt left arrow used to go.
Used to be. Or, yeah, and it
makes sense.
Like I've got a key on my mouse that goes back. I always thought it was Escape that sent you back. I know F5 does a reload and Shift F5 does a hard reload, like clearcation reload. But does anybody use the back button? Or a lot of people use Firefox, but does anybody use the backspace key? Chrome removed support for backspace in 2016. Okay, that makes sense because it never worked in Chrome, so I figured it was my imagination and it never worked. Using Alt left keyboard shortcut instead, or setting browser backspace _action to 0 in the about config to re-enable it. So it's disabled by default, but you can re-enable it if you want.
That was a thing, and I don't think anyone else would be pressing backspace to go back one page.
So what they're saying, what they've got here is they're saying that the change is currently active in Firefox and expected to go live next month. It was first proposed back in July of 2014.
They got finally caught up.
At the time, most engineers argued that users press the backspace key don't always mean to navigate backwards. Pressing the backspace key does different things depending on where the cursor is. Whether the key's behaviour has been argued for a very long time. Back in 2014, McBride asked other Mozilla engineers to gather data. Subsequent data showed the backspace key is by far the most pressed keyboard shortcut inside Firefox. 40 million monthly active users pressing the key, triggering the back navigation. To put it in perspective, this is well above the 16 million Firefox users that press Control F to search content inside Control F searches. Oh yeah. I thought F3. And 15 million users press the page reload, which is F5 and Control R. The giant difference between the first and other popular shortcuts led engineers to conclude that many of the backspace keys were most likely accidental. So there you go. It's only taken them 7 years, but they finally figured out.
Good work, Firefox.
I just thought that was an interesting little article. It just shows you the mindset of sometimes of how they don't want to, they're like, oh, but this is the way we designed it. We don't want to change it.
I've just got a quick one before we finish up.
Yep, so
The United States Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, has issued an alert to users of Google Chrome to update their web browsers to address vulnerabilities that could be exploited by attackers to take control of computers. Chrome Stable version 8704280141 is being rolled out for Microsoft Windows, Apple Mac OS, and Linux distribution. Contains 16 security fixes, Google said. Of these, 15 are rated as high severity with no serious vulnerabilities, allowing for remote code execution on the privileged context that Chrome is running in. Vulnerabilities include 7 use after free memory corruption bugs, including one in the Blink rendering engine, and an out-of-bounds write vulnerability in the V8 JavaScript engine. The V8 CVE 2020-1599.5 bug could be exploited by a specially crafted web page to cause memory heap corruption, and was reported by Bohan Liu at Tencent Security Sunwoo Lab last month. While the awards for the V8 and CVE 2022-1115 use after free and safe browsing bugs are yet to be determined, Google paid out $111,000 US in bug bounties to other researchers reporting vulnerabilities in Chrome. Don't use old Chrome, update quick.
Well, that's why.
Want to get hacked.
Yeah. I mean, Chrome auto updates every time you close it anyway.
Yep.
It's only if you leave a browser
My
open.
work one had this one bug where some text wouldn't show up on a particular internal web page, and a guy did a Zoom session with me today, and I had to share the screen. He's like, show me it happening. I'm like, but it's not doing that now, and I think Chrome auto updated itself and it fixed the problem. Yeah. So there's no problem to fix, and I was the only one in the whole company that had that issue.
Yeah.
Of the tons and tons of people using the same website, for me it didn't work, and I guess update fixed that one.
The other thing sometimes too, I don't know if I can capture it. I'll see if I can grab a screen. If you go into your settings, is this going to show up? Oh yeah. If you scroll down, you've got, if you go into advanced and go down the bottom here, you have use hardware acceleration when available.
Yep. On
almost all the systems I have, I turn that off because it tends to create artifacts and does weird things with text sometimes.
Right.
There's only one computer I think I've got that's on. Everything else that's turned off on because it just seems to do weird things.
Right.
So that's a good way to start. Start by turning that off, and 90% of the time that'll fix your problems. I don't know why. I don't know how that functions and how that causes issues, but it seems to.
It's Will's tip of the week.
A lot of the forums I've read, they turn hardware acceleration off, and sure enough, you turn hardware acceleration off and it works.
Anything left for you?
You would think it would just be for like video playback and things like that, but no, it can be like this banner. You can have. Sometimes I've seen text overlaying on text. Like you'll get the banner or whatever's moved down and it's overlaying over the body of the text. And uncheck that, and it comes back to the way it's supposed to be. It's like,
right.
What does that have to do?
How does that work?
Anyway, hackers. There you go. There's my story. Hackers have leaked the COVID-19 vaccine data they stole in a cyber attack.
Oh.
They stole it from part of cyber attack targeting European Union Medical Agency. The organisation has admitted the attack against the European Medicines Agency was first disclosed last month, and now it's been determined that those behind the hack gained access to information about the coronavirus vaccines. The ongoing investigation has revealed someone unlawfully accessed documents. That's one way of putting it. Related to COVID-19 and vaccines belonging to third parties have been leaked to the internet. So basically, go through, and it's available there if anybody wants to read it. It's everything from the sequencing right through to the chemical compounds. It's all available to read. What they've put in it, and then there's some nasty stuff in there. But it's not the first time pharmaceutical farms and other organisations have been attacked, specifically COVID vaccine development, have been targeted by hackers. The UK's National Cybersecurity Centre got attacked. So, well done, guys.
Governments don't have security.
Microsoft's also come in the party saying that they're being, because their state-sponsored hacking operations have been targeting coronavirus vaccine producers, Microsoft has also been under attack. The World Health Organization's been under attack. CDC's been under attack. Currently, they're saying 1 in 3 attacks are coronavirus related. So it's got to be telling you something.
Yeah.
So, someone's not happy about something.
Thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Heads show, broadcast weekly. We can be found at facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads, twitter.com/Aussie Tech Heads, and youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Now also at patreon.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Sign up for $4 a month, $10 a month, or from several other tiers. See the site for details. And coffee.com, ko-fi.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Make a one-off donation of any size.
You're going to screw that up one day, and I'm going to laugh and laugh.
No, sorry. Email us, Glenn Warlock at aussietechheads.com.au. You can hear Aussie Tech Heads on aussietechradio.com. 24/7 back-to-back play of some of the best tech-related shows from around Australia and New Zealand, including this one. New shows added each Friday. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.